Bonjour et bienvenue sur le plateau télé de Village Semence. Nous avons le plaisir de recevoir le commissaire européen Andriukaitis pour nous parler de la santé en Europe, qui est un sujet particulièrement important. Dear Commissioner, thank you very much for being with us here. Health is a very important subject in Europe. It is at the heart of concerns, but citizens no longer know who to believe. What are the Commission's plans to increase transparency, especially on scientific studies? So, what are the European Commission's plans to help regarding transparency?
It's not about European Commission plans.
Yes.
It's about a real job which just was done. As you know, Commission proposed to improve our general food law and 8 sectorial laws which are related to general food law because of possibilities to extend transparency of assessment, scientific evidence based on independent studies, possibilities to open data of assessment, possibilities to guarantee access to data of all interested in it, speaking about NGOs, independent scientists, public, and also about possibilities to guarantee additional financial resources to EFSA to provide additional assessments if some situations are controversial. And also about possibilities to guarantee very proper risk communication strategy. Also, we invite member states to be in close cooperation with EFSA and with assessing bodies, and also have the right to propose scientists which should be included into scientific assessment groups debating issues. It means that we reacted in proper way, looking at citizens' initiative on glyphosate, and of course looking at our fitness check on general food law. Now it's time to understand we need to restore trust in science, once again guarantee openness, guarantee transparency, avoid conflict of interest, also clearly distinct commercial secrecy, intellectual property and public health issues, and of course strengthen our capacities that our food assessment should be based on very strong scientific evidence.
Absolutely, and as you know, the animal disease are in the media, especially African swine fever. How could you make European farms secure and guarantee a level playing field?
Yes, you know, now is also second good news is last week we adopted decision that Czech Republic is now free from African swine fever. As you know, in Czech Republic it was case which was transmitted by human factor, maybe by drivers, and some area of Czech Republic was contaminated by virus only in wild boar. And we did a lot of measures, strategies, and supporting Czech Republic authority to eliminate African swine fever from Czech territory. Now it means that we have a good example of eradication of disease.
Absolutely.
It's very good positive news for all of us. As you know, African swine fever should be eradicated only if we have all interested parties on board, farmers, different operators, transport operators, hunters, forestry workers, local community actors, governments, different ministries, and of course also broad awareness campaign, because you have only 3 big areas of activities: awareness campaigns, hunting strategy, reducing wild boar population and also using biosecurity measures in hunting, and biosecurity measures in farming sector, protecting your pig farms from entering virus into farms. And now a second example is Belgium, where we are doing our best, also because it was jammed because of human factor, and we are capable to once again to repeat all issues which were done in Czech Republic and to see how can we eradicate such a in contaminated area such virus. But frankly speaking, we should keep in mind awareness campaign, passive and active surveillance, biosecurity, hunting strategies, a reduction of level of wild boar population in risk zones, monitoring of situation on the ground, eliminating carcasses from forests, cooperating between hunters, farmers, transport actors, drivers, governments. Only one way to eradicate that disease from European Union.
So we can see that with communication is a very important point, because you are playing with all the players on the field to eradicate it. And I think it's important to give this message to all the public here in the Salon de l'Agriculture.
Yes, absolutely, no doubt. Let's once again repeat that awareness campaign and possibilities to be involved in implementation of our African swine strategy of all actors is number one.
So another on the controversial topic of seed innovation, which is another question today. How could you get over the impasse of following the decision on GMOs like mutagenicity's decision? It's a very big point here for export and so on.
You know, we spent a lot of time discussing issues. How can we, provide differences between old GM techniques and new breeding techniques? But of course, then it was case in France, and France asked Court of Justice to decide, and Court of Justice decision is clear that such techniques which can be used, they should be covered by GM directive. It means that we need now to reassess issues and open debates about what does it mean new breeding technique. Can we move forward using new mutagenesis techniques, producing new types of crops which will be more resistant to drought, which will be more resistant to pests, which do not need to use pesticides, and to help us address climate change and guarantee soil health, not to use fertilizers and so on. It means that now it's up to us to organize broad debates. How can we innovate in area of seeds production?
I think it's very important to open the debate regarding this, because there is a great concern about that. Because if there is no change on this definition of GMOs, the question is how could we save all products which are not imported? There is a trial in Mexico with a CIMIT to take out the gluten of some cereals. If we are not allowed to do so in Europe, we will not be able to compete, and that's an important point for us to have your opinion on it.
Let's be clear. It was up to member states to decide. That some 19 or more member states are GM free. Generally, now in Europe you can see only a few countries which are ready to cultivate GM crops. In Spain, maybe in some countries from scientific reasons. But I think it was done based on old techniques. And now time is in changes, absolutely. And now you see around the world a lot of new steps which now shows that you can use new breeding techniques in more simple way,
Absolutely.
more cheapest way, and it can really affect European Union agriculture, our competition, and many issues. And also it will be against possibilities to fight against climate change and guarantee biodiversity. We need to once again to trigger debates in our public, inviting our scientists, universities, academia, farmers to discussing issues. What does it mean to have new breeding techniques in our hands? It is something dangerous or not? Of course, I know very well that first of all we need to guarantee that it should be safe. From public health point of view, European Union is ready to continue authorization at our European Food Safety Authority level, because you know that in EU we see a lot of GM feeding animals.
Absolutely.
And we are feeding animals. Please show me one country in Europe which are not used GM feed in feeding animals. You can't see no one country, including all countries which just are promoting organic farming, but they are using GM feeding their husbandry. But you can see that we are all safe. We have no problems. Please tell me who died from food which was produced by farmers which are using feed, GM feed for their animals. No one. Please show me examples what it is, where you can see problems about health. I have no evidence to say that some was died because of eating meat which was produced feeding animals with GM. It's absolutely crazy. And we need to understand now, okay, let's discuss about new techniques which absolutely different one compared to old one. And of course, safety is high on the agenda and will be high on the agenda. No doubt, and public health is number one. But then, when we have evidence in our hands, science in our hands, we should move forward.
I think so, and I think again it's a communication question, and to help to understand what are the new definition of GMOs and new breeding technologies.
Yeah, of course. You know, Commission is ready to continue our job, guaranteeing safety, guaranteeing authorization, guaranteeing public health concerns, not to allow to use some additives or some techniques which will be dangerous related to people's health. Full stop. But it's up to us, up to society, to discuss which way is in the future. Because, frankly speaking, we all are mutants. You and me and all around. And old breeding techniques, they also are mutants, also in mutagenesis. Because it's about essence of life.
Absolutely. So I have a final question regarding this point. What could be the agenda on that specific question of new definition?
This agenda is now very clear. Let's organize public debates in front of European Parliament elections, not to allow only to speak those who are against. Let's organize democratic debates. Let's present positive examples. Let's look what is around us on the globe. Let's remember that European Union is the biggest producers of agri-food products. And if we will lose our competition, it will be a disaster. Can you imagine that in agri sector we have 42 million people working every day, 42 million jobs. And of course, we need to understand we need innovations. We need, new approaches. We need to see how can we deliver situation related to climate change. How can we protect biodiversity? How can we recultivate areas which are with erosion, desertification, deforestation? What can we do with those areas? How can we recultivate our land which is under erosion? How can we reduce use of pesticides, reduce use of fertilizers? We need to be open.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for all this information. What are the next subjects that you will take care during the next months on a health standpoint?
You know that we have on our table now big achievement, general food law, which was accepted and which was adopted by European Parliament and Council, and we are happy that now we will see much more transparent food safety authorization system, which can guarantee openness, independent scientific assessment, possibilities to include more different actors in open data, and of course restore trust in science.
I think it's an important point also. Dear Commissioner, thank you very much to be with us for all this information. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
À très bientôt pour une nouvelle émission sur Village Semence. Je vous rappelle que vous pouvez retrouver toutes nos vidéos sur YouTube et poser vos questions sur Twitter @Village Semence. Merci.